Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the foreign policy focus continues as President Trump spends the holidays at Mar-a-Lago. We'll catch you up. And 2025 is nearly over, along with the enhanced tax credits under the Affordable Care Act. We'll tell you more.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Welcome to Mountain News This Morning. I'm Neely Green here with you on this Tuesday, December 30th. The time is now 6 o'clock. Let's check in with meteorologist Megan Desmond for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, it was flurrying outside this morning and it was nice, but I'm also ready for the cold to go away.
Yeah, that's the main highlight for me. Is it's just too cold outside. I had to wear multiple layers and I even brought my gloves out. So this morning you may have to do the same as those 20s take over for many folks. I mean, we're talking low 20s with the warmest temperatures right now, 25 degrees in Boonville, Stanton, and Louisa. That's still very cold. Coldest temperatures 16 degrees in Wise. And remember, those winds are still gusting this morning, so it will feel even colder. And as we head into the afternoon, unfortunately, we will not be seeing any relief as the high temperatures for the day really only make it to the low 30s. And just as Neely said, we are seeing some of those flurries out and about this morning, primarily as we're traveling into the far eastern counties in Kentucky. Neely.
Megan, thank you. Brooks Houck, the man found guilty for the presumed murder of Bardstown mother Crystal Rogers, has been transferred to a new facility. Houck was transferred to Reordered Assessment Center yesterday in Oldham County. It's a minimum to medium security prison. He was previously housed at Big Sandy Regional Detention Center in Paintsville. Houck is serving life in prison in connection to the case. The federal fraud investigation in Minnesota took a new turn yesterday. Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Noem showed a video showing federal agents at several child care centers investigating allegations of fraud. The tips aren't from the FBI, they're from a video posted this weekend by YouTuber Nick Shirley, which was seen more than 100 million times.
While we have questions about some of the methods that were used in the video, we do take the concerns that the video raises about fraud very seriously.
There are 14 specific programs funded by Medicaid and run by the state of Minnesota that are currently under investigation by the state and federal government. According to the prosecutors, child care isn't one of them. 2025 is on track to have the lowest number of fatalities on Kentucky roads in the last 5 years. So far this year, we've seen 655 deadly crashes. That's down from 702 last year and more than 300 less than the peak in 2005 with 985 deaths. In 2025, transportation officials say seatbelts were not in use in nearly 50% of those deadly wrecks. Alcohol was involved in 14% of them. The foreign policy focus continues as President Trump spends the holidays at Mar-a-Lago. He hosted Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, issuing threats to Iran and Hamas. The two leaders are pushing to move to phase 2 of the Israel-Gaza peace deal. Trump also discussed an alleged drug site targeted in Venezuela.
There's a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats.
The Pentagon also confirmed the U.S. military struck another suspected drug boat in the Pacific, killing 2 people. It was the 30th such strike by the Trump administration this year. So far, more than 100 people have been killed. $7.25. That's the minimum wage federally and here in Kentucky. While several states are moving to raise pay on January 1st, Kentucky's minimum wage is set to remain the same. But one lawmaker says he'll try to change that in the upcoming legislative session. Jackson Plank reports.
When the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, Kentucky will have several new laws on the books, but not on the list any legislation surrounding minimum wage.
I think raising the minimum wage makes sense for the people of the Commonwealth and for the common working man.
State Representative George Brown has represented a portion of Lexington since 2015. Brown says that when the Kentucky legislative session begins in January, he will work to raise the state's minimum wage.
People are still trying to live in 2025 off a minimum wage that was put in place in the early 2000s.
What does Brown think is a good minimum wage? Well above where it currently sits.
At least $15, $15.50, $16 an hour. It only would make sense.
In July, the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy released a report saying the current $7.25 an hour minimum wage is a 75-year low in purchasing power. During an interview with WKYT in August, they told us that inaction has put workers behind.
Now, for the first time in our history, a full-time minimum wage worker who works year-round would earn below the poverty level.
At the same time, Brown acknowledges it will be an uphill battle trying to get a bill passed next year, but he says it is a battle he wants to take on.
Legislation is always a struggle, particularly if you're in the minority, which is where we find ourselves. We're in the minority party.
WKYT reached out to both the Kentucky GOP and Kentucky House Republicans for comment. We are still waiting to hear back. Reporting in Lexington, Jackson Plank, WKYT.
Back in August, Republican State Senator Matt Nunn of Sadieville said, quote, setting a one-size-fits-all minimum wage across a diverse Commonwealth from Pikeville to Paducah, from Covington to Corbin, would not be wise. 2025 is nearly over, along with the enhanced tax credits under the Affordable Care Act, which are set to expire in 2 days. Officials say it will cause health premiums to increase for many Kentuckians who get insurance under the health care exchange in 2026. Priscilla Easterling with Kentucky Voices for Health says looking ahead into 2026, some Kentuckians could see a $1,000 monthly premium increase. She says some could take desperate measures.
You know, I've had conversations with folks where they're already planning to just ration medication. They're planning to ration their food. CareSource exited the marketplace for 2026. So we're down from 4 issuers on the Connect marketplace down to 3.
Easterling says if you are one of the 90,000 Kentuckians on the exchange, one of the options to look at is find a connector, adding there are still free ones in all 120 counties. The Trump administration announced the amount of funding each state will get for the first year of the Rural Health Transformation Program. The awards range from $145 million to $281 million. The program will award a total of $50 billion over 5 fiscal years. Half the money will be split evenly among states. The other half will be awarded through a points system based on a set of criteria. Of that second half of discretionary funds, about 20% is based on a state's commitment to specific policy actions. The holidays are always the most wonderful time of the year. For many Americans, it's a time of isolation. According to a recent study from the AARP, 40% of adults age 45 and older struggle with loneliness, and men have a higher rates of feeling lonely than women. Mental health experts attribute the loneliness epidemic to a me versus we culture and a fear of coming across as needy.
We're afraid to be vulnerable. We're afraid to ask for help. We think of it as a sign of weakness. Hyper-reliance, self-reliance, individualism at the expense of community is at the crux of it. Time management, attention management. We're living in the attention economy, right? So I think all of these things push us to figure it out yourself.
Loneliness is an even bigger health concern for seniors. Research shows social isolation significantly increases the risk of dementia, heart disease, depression, strokes, and premature death.
And we're talking flurries this morning as you're starting off the day. Not for everyone, but just for our far eastern counties for your Tuesday. I mean, right now we're really just seeing it from stretches of Harlan into portions of Wayne County, West Virginia. Now that's on its way out. You can kind of see it's tapered off in the past hour, and the main focus will be those cold temperatures with mostly the low 20s. However, in Clintwood and Logan, we're at 18 degrees, and Wise is at 16. So again, bundle up, especially since you won't be seeing any relief later on today, with the highs only making it to about 32 degrees for many folks, that freezing point. So again, cold all day long. Make sure you're wearing those layers. Here's a look at that planning forecast for you. Normal high for this time of year is 45 degrees, which is not the case for today. We will be seeing sunshine coming out around the afternoon time frame. Neely.
Well, thank you, Megan, and thank you for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Ellis Island, a symbol of immigration in the United States. We're speaking with folks here at the National Park about what this place meant during its heyday and what it still represents today.